What's up, Taiwan? I'm Reece with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. The Financial Times reports that top Taiwanese officials have arrived in the US for rare high-level talks. Joseph Wu, the head of Taiwan's National Security Council, is leading the delegation alongside Foreign Minister Lin Jialong for a meeting known as the Special Channel. It comes on the heels of China's two-day series of war games near Taiwan earlier this week. The exercises included long-range live-fire drills and a simulated blockade, a move Beijing said was to deter, quote, separatist activities. Court justices have unanimously voted to impeach South Korean President Yeol. The countdown now begins towards a snap election. But does Yoon's removal mean the healing can begin, or will his fall from grace further aggravate an already divided nation? On the streets of Seoul, screams of jubilation and cries of disbelief as South Korea's constitutional court confirms the impeachment of the now former president Yoon Yeol. As the presidential flag comes down, so now must Yoon officially vacate his position after throwing his country into political turmoil last December when he suddenly declared martial law. Court justices delivered blow after blow, accusing Yoon of causing chaos across Korean society, economics and politics.
국민 모두의 대통령으로서 자신을 지지하는 국민을 초월하여 사회 공동체를 통합시켜야 할 책무를 위반하였습니다.
Yoon himself has said that he's truly sorry for failing to live up to the expectations of his country. But his lawyer took a much less conciliatory approach.
결과까지도 전혀 법리적으로 납득할 수 없는 결정이 이루어졌습니다. 완전히 어떤 정치적인 결정으로밖에 볼 수 없어서 너무 안타깝고 이것이 21세기 법치들이 대한민국에서 일어날 수 있는 일인가 참담한 심정입니다.
Some academics are celebrating the ruling, hoping it will hasten the healing for a bitterly divided nation.
헌법재판소가 그 면에서는 만장일치 결정을 통해서 그러한 반대 의견이 있음으로써 초래될 수 있는 그러한 공론 분열이라든지 혹은 정치적 혼란을 최소화하기 위해서 지혜로운 선택을 했다고 생각합니다.
But the political strife isn't over yet. South Korea must now hold a snap election within 60 days. In the interim, Han Duck-soo, who became acting president after Yoon's powers were suspended last year, will oversee the process.
주권자인 국민 여러분의 뜻을 받들어 헌법과 법률에 따라 다음 정부가 차질 없이 출범할 수 있도록 자기 대통령 선거 관리에 최선을 다하겠습니다.
Yoon isn't out of trouble yet either. At some date soon, he's set to face a separate charge of insurrection, a crime that can carry life imprisonment or worse. And while he may be removed from office, how Yoon and his base respond to his impeachment could continue to influence South Korean politics for many months to come. Devon Tsai and Reece for TaiwanPlus. The fate of TikTok in the US remains uncertain after President Donald Trump gave the social media app another 75 days to find a buyer in the US for its operations. The extension gives the Trump administration more time to negotiate a deal with Chinese owners ByteDance. It comes after the Chinese government reportedly killed a deal that would have left ByteDance with a 20% stake in TikTok after Trump announced new tariffs of 34% on Chinese imports earlier this week. TikTok was banned under a law passed by Congress and signed by former US President Joe Biden. But Trump has made bringing the app's US operations under American ownership a key pledge since taking office. As this year's Tomb Sweeping Festival comes to an end, activists in southern Taiwan are working to preserve the country's oldest Chinese cemetery. Bryn Thomas reports.
Every spring, hundreds of thousands of Taiwanese people travel to their families' graves for the Qingming or Tomb Sweeping Festival.
在我们小时候，就是我爸就带我们来拜祖先呐，可能就是个惯性。那等到我长大了，我爸可能行动不方便，就 我代替我爸他们来这样子，我觉得就是一个血缘的传承啦。哎呀，就是一个汉族文化吧。
The annual tradition, a reminder that many Taiwanese customs originating in China once centered around ancestral veneration.
They come to places like this, Nanshan Cemetery in the southern city of Tainan. People have been building tombs here since the 17th century, and there's evidence that the place was a burial ground for indigenous Taiwanese long before that.
Because of local superstitions and beliefs, funeral traditions are a sensitive subject in Taiwan. But it's long been an interest of U.S. anthropologist and conservationist James Morris.
What this gives us is a really great composite of the material culture of Tainan and Tainan's history. So we have the old, this is probably granite or andesite, and this was used as ballast in the boats that were trading between Jinmen, Xiamen, and Tainan.
Alongside this tomb from 1642, the only one in Taiwan predating the fall of the Ming Dynasty, others span the Qing Dynasty, the Japanese colonial period, and through to today, each reflecting the artistic styles of the time and featuring the nation's top funerary artists.
那些彩绘名家大概就是现在被府城列为什么国宝人物，像陈玉峰啦、蔡草如啊这些，他们都有帮忙画。可是他们画了都没有落款啊，因为他们觉得这个是所谓的面包案啊，够巴豆呀。
Today, like many Taiwanese cemeteries, Nanshan Cemetery is located on the edge of the city on real estate that used to be viewed as pretty undesirable. But if you look at its sandy soil, it's a clue to its past. This area used to be by the sea, and with some mountains nearby, that made for some pretty good feng shui.
This cemetery used to be enormous. You know, we are standing on a former beach on sand dunes. And during the Ming Dynasty, or during the Dutch period, during the Qing period, all of these older tombs had the luxury of being placed around in these very distant parts that had the perfect feng shui.
But even the most auspicious of locations has not been enough to save these relics of local history. Over the past 2 generations, many cemeteries in Taiwan have been demolished for urban development.
This is undeveloped land. There's no infrastructure below the ground. There's nothing above ground. You don't really have to pay people for rights to buy them out. So that's what makes this space so threatened, is that it's so easy for the city to see and award contracts for development.
Academics are confident that the oldest and grandest tombs in Nanshan Cemetery can be preserved by working with local historic organizations. But there's a risk of losing the tombs belonging to Taiwan's more marginalized groups.
今年又要庆祝府城300嘛，那你说这些小老百姓、小朋友的坟墓如果都拿掉，只保留那些那个有钱人家大家族的几门豪华大墓，就能够代表台南400或台南府城300嘛？我觉得这就没有代表性了。
As the people across Taiwan conclude their annual journey to honor their ancestors, historic groups and academics continue working to ensure these tombs remain for future generations. Patrick Chen, James Lin, and Bryn Thomas for TaiwanPlus.
How has Taiwan's culture and society impacted the world, and how will it continue to impact the future? These are the questions Stanford's new Taiwan Studies program aims to answer. Dr. Gi-wook Shin joins TaiwanPlus to discuss what areas he wants the program to focus on and where he sees democracy heading in Taiwan and Asia.
There are a lot of Taiwan programs popping up at, for example, UT Austin, UCLA, just to name a few. How does Stanford go about distinguishing itself from these Taiwan programs?
I think that's a very good question. So I think, in my view, there are 2 focuses for right now. So one is, focusing on humanities, like language and history. The other one more like technology or geopolitics. But then I feel like society, culture, education, innovation, those areas need more attention. So that will be the main focus of our new program.
You are a leading expert in democracies, particularly in Asia, and we'd like to tap your expertise for a little bit. So what is the state of democracy in Asia?
Okay, so not only Asia, but I think globally we are facing very serious democratic backsliding. Okay, United States is not an exception. So Many years ago, I wrote an article at the Journal of Democracy about democratic decay of South Korea. So I was one of the very first and a few scholars giving a warning about status of democracy in South Korea. And of course, I didn't predict martial law last December. But then I argued that unless you address now, eventually Korean democracy will erode and facing big challenges. But now, if you look at Asian country, Korea, Indonesia, Thailand, also European country, United States, I guess some issue in Taiwan as well. So I think we are facing the challenge of global populism and democratic backsliding. So I'm very concerned about the future of liberal democracy, not only in Asia, but more globally.
What do you think the appeal is of populist leaders? For example, in the Philippines, Rodrigo Duterte. Some might say in Seoul, South Korea, Yoon Yeol was a populist. Yeah. What is the appeal for people there in a democracy?
Those countries facing a lot of issues, especially economic inequality. Okay, and then those populist leaders have two main, talents. One is they simplify complex problem in a very easy way. Okay, I mean that's main power of populist leaders today and historically, and also they are very anti-establishment, and then they are blaming establishment as the main cause of all those problems. So in the United States, they are blaming migrants, for example, and then they are looking for scapegoats, and then they are trying to simplify the us versus them, and then mobilizing people. So that's why it's very dangerous. I have deep concern about the future.
There's a lot of tension in Asia right now, leading to some to speculate that this might be a flashpoint for the world. Is that generally a correct or incorrect assessment, in your opinion?
So I think there are a lot of debates going on, but in my personal opinion, I think it's exaggerated. Okay, so oftentimes people applying the European lens into Asia. So by looking at what happened in Ukraine and Israel, and then saying that Taiwan can be a flashpoint in military conflict, while Korean Peninsula can enter some military tensions as well. But I think those are exaggerated. And in my personal view, I'm more skeptical about military conflict over Taiwan or North Korea or Korean Peninsula. So certainly there are some potential reasons to worry about, and then we have to manage. But still, I don't expect any military conflict in the near future. That's my personal view. But once again, there are a lot of debates, so I may be wrong, but yeah.
Taiwan's premier technology research institute has won a total of 7 medals at the 2025 Edison Awards. Taiwan's ITRI won 3 gold, 3 silver and 1 bronze at the awards ceremony in the U.S. state of Florida. ITRI was awarded for its contributions in biomedical technology, net zero sustainability solutions and artificial intelligence categories. NVIDIA founder Jensen Huang, who was born in Taiwan, was given a Lifetime Achievement Award. Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, here is footage showcasing the heritage of Gaza, now on display in Paris. I'm Reece. Take care and see you next time.